Frequency Podcast Network. Stories that matter, podcasts that resonate.
He's in the building!
Drink the moment. Drink it.
I said empty your mind.
Coquettish and coy. Ow. Ow.
What?
And there's people that are dying.
The wickedly talented.
More than great. It was historic.
Crack is
World.
Oh, good for you.
I have to apologize.
One of the hottest.
Welcome back to The Reheat, a podcast that re-examines the wildest celebrity news and scandals of yesteryear and asks, how would we react to the same events if they had transpired today? I'm Sarah Sahagian.
And I'm Steph Hassan, and this week is another hot off the press. This week, the tea is as hot as the weather, which is steaming. Let's start with some headlines. Okay, it is the summer of Zendaya and Tom Holland. We love them over here at The Reheat. Here's some recent goings-on for these two. Fresh off the success of The Odyssey, Spider-Man Brand New Day earned the second biggest domestic movie debut of all time, pulling in $355 million. That's hefty, especially for a threequel. Like, I'm very impressed. Zendaya and Tom just keep winning in their personal and professional lives. Don't you forget, she has been flashing that wedding ring and engagement ring everywhere. Good for them. I want details of that wedding, but sadly, I guess we'll never get them. And also good for them. Keep them private. Now, in sad couple news, it seems likely that Tate McRae and her New Jersey Devils star, Jack Hughes, have called off their courtship. You know what? I feel like she should date Canadian. She's getting a lot of heat lately for being too pro-US. And maybe MAGA. There was a little bit of that this week. So, Tate, come back over here. That's all I'm saying. And apparently, Pete Davidson was spotted with supermodel Brooke Nader's little sister, the equally stunning Sarah Jane. Now, she's also a model, and she's killing it. I highly recommend the Sisters reality show on Disney Plus and Hulu. It's really fun. It's very confusing what she wants with Pete because, again, she's a stunner. And who knows, maybe they're talking about other kinds of work projects. Totally possible, maybe. May I say, though, it's funny seeing paparazzi shots of Pete Davidson, like, pushing his stroller with his baby in it. Like, the images do not compute, you know, but he's managing it all, clearly. Now, speaking of his relationship with the mother of his baby, Elsie Hewitt, also imploded shortly after their daughter's birth. So I don't know if this guy is, you know, long-term material, but get it, girls. I hear the D is good. So, you know, do what you gotta do. Now, in happier news, the trailer for Khloe Kardashian's The Girls dropped, and the new reality series promises to show us the tumultuous lives of her inner circle of girlfriends. It follows 6 of her friends, but you know who I'm the happiest for is Malika and Khadijah, because those two have been behind these girls forever. Like, they have needed their own show for the longest time, and I love them, and they're the sweetest. So I'm just happy for them. Really, they should be having their own show, Khloe, but that's okay. Maybe eventually. Now, what we've seen already does look juicy, but it also looks suspiciously similar to a lot of reality TV that already exists. I'm talking the shows where women in their 40s struggle through marriage, motherhood, friendship drama, and of course, drink a lot of wine while calling each other out in public. Sir, why do you think Khloe has decided to go Real Housewives at this moment? Why this show? Why now?
Here's the thing. If Khloe really just wants to be a Real Housewife, she can't lower herself to being on another franchise, right? Like, Khloe's a boss, right? She can't do that. So I feel like Khloe is just a fan of shows like Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and Real Housewives and wanted to create this for herself. She's clearly very close with her girlfriends. One thing I've always appreciated about Khloe is I do think these friendships are genuine. I think she makes time for them. I think she prioritizes them. Khloe is a person I think really centers friends and family before she centers men, which I quite like about her. I think it's cool, and I think it's cool to have a show that centers family and friends. Well, I guess this one just centers friends. But what I think is interesting is that it feels like she's slowly distancing herself from her sisters. Do you get that vibe?
I do. And I think it's a good idea. Like, I think it's good to have some independence, but then also be able to go back together, like for the show or for other major events. But Kim has always been able to be so independent. I think this is good for Chloe because I also think of like Good American, which is so successful, a great jeans brand. She didn't do so well with things like Revenge Body, which I think was such a mistake. This feels like it's going in a better, healthier direction. But my worry is these girls, the eponymous girls, I feel like they're stars to the Kardashians. Are they stars to the rest of the world? I feel like they're really banking on fans of the family to tune in up to this show. I don't know about the wider appeal.
That's the thing. So when you do a spinoff, your audience is already typically a fraction of the bigger audience. And you're not going to get people who don't watch the original typically to watch this. In rare situations, you can, and you can have a spinoff that's as successful and pulls in new people. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see the charisma of her friendship circle on TV. We'll have to see how well they do, what drama they can bring to our lives. I feel like they have studied the best reality stars in the world, right? They put in their 10,000 hours, as Malcolm Gladwell would say. So I really think if anyone can hit it out of the park in their debut TV show, it's these people, right? Like, I think they know how to do it. And it's funny. One thing that occurred to me is I was wondering, did somebody approach these people about maybe being on a Real Housewives franchise? And then Chloe was like, not my girls. I'll make a show for you. You belong to me. Like, that is a conspiracy theory that I have in my mind. I have no proof of this, but I wondered because they would make good additions to an existing Real Housewives franchise.
That is true. And I hate to say this because you know I love Chloe, but weirdly enough, that comment reminds me of that terrible photo from years back at a Halloween event where Chloe was dressed up as, I don't know what exactly, but she had the twins, Malika and Khadijah, on leashes. Do you remember this?
Oh, yes.
On the red carpet?
Yes. Yes.
But we will, again, continue to pretend it never happened, but that does remind me of that. Side note, by the way, the show hits Disney and Hulu on August 21st. I feel like what's interesting, too, is that Disney's really going hard into the reality.
They are.
Corner, huh? Because they've also got $1 Million Nannies, which is doing pretty well, and House of Stassi, which stars Stassi Schroeder from Vanderpump Rules. Very interesting how they're pivoting it hard in this direction. One of my concerns, because I was all ready for House of Stassi, but it's very overproduced in a way that I also feel Mormon Wives is and $1 Million Nannies is. They're going for their own style. I fear it's a little too performative. So I really hope with the girls, because it's got the Kardashians behind it, it has more substance. I don't know. I'm rooting for you, Disney. You're never going to be another Bravo, though. I warn you. I warn you.
If you're trying to avoid churn, it does make sense because you got to have one for the kids, one for the moms, right? So I think it makes sense. Like, what's mommy going to watch when the kids go to bed? It can still be Disney Plus, right? I think that this is smart. Disney's always been fun for the whole family. So I think that this is them living up to the 21st century version of that promise.
That's a really good way to look at it. Yeah, you're right. You only need one streaming service.
As my mother says, Disney Plus is the only one you need. She truly believes that she could do an ad.
There you go. Disney, we're here. You can sponsor us. We'll take you.
We'll take Disney money. I will say, I'm going to Disney World like all the NFL players used to, right? I will sell that.
There you go. She's in. Sarah's selling her soul. Okay, now it's time for our first in-depth topic. I'm so sorry because it's going to be about one of the ickiest guys in Hollywood. One, Jared Leto. Listen, if you want to know why he's icky, you can listen to our episode about him titled simply Jared Leto. Why? Now, we did reshare that last week on our feed, so you don't have to scroll too far back to find it. But there is a lot to say. Recent reports have come out suggesting he isn't just a douche, but might be a sexual predator. Sarah and I may have been ahead of our time because that episode we did in 2022, and we called it. Thanks to a lot of people who have already called it, of course. But I think we're maybe scared that it wasn't quite the right time to put these allegations out there. It seems like fast forward 4 years, this could finally be it. A BBC documentary called Jared Leto, Hollywood's Dark Secret, came out. It discusses 10 accusations of sexual misconduct against the actor. The victims say that he assaulted all of them when they were young girls between the ages of 16 and 18. Now, Jared was in his 30s and 40s at the time, okay? He's not as young as he looks. The incidents allegedly occurred between 2002 and 2016. One accuser named Isabel says she was sexually assaulted by him in a motel bathroom when she was only 17. For his part, Jared has, of course, denied any wrongdoing. He said, quote, "These claims are absolutely and categorically false." Hollywood, however, isn't so sure because here's the other thing. There's been some comments from some stars that have been dredged up over the last little while, including, I believe, Dylan Sprouse, who is dating model Barbara Palvin and seemed to kind of hint that he had maybe approached her way back when, again, allegedly. If you do go back, you'll find over the past decade rumors about Jared Leto hanging around with really young models, apparently, allegedly. We got to cover our asses. Whenever he had a 30 Seconds to Mars concert, he would, let's say, procure models from various modeling agencies in whatever town they were in on tour to just send out whoever they had, which is so disgusting to me. And I don't know how he's gotten away with this for so long. But Sarah, tell me what you think. How the hell has he made it this far? And listen, I mean, he's the millionth douche in Hollywood who's getting exposed, at least. I guess that's a good thing. Finally, his time has come, maybe.
It's funny that the allegations in the documentary span sort of the early 2000s to 2016. Part of me wonders if he could be, allegedly, a sociopath, because why would it stop in 2016? Well, the climate's changing. That's right before Me Too starts. People are starting to talk more about women in Hollywood, sexual assault, Harvey Weinstein. And does he really feel like, oh no, I need to protect myself. I got to cut it out, right? So to me, if you have that kind of control, if he really did stop in 2016, that's alarming. Why didn't you stop earlier, sir? Right? Why didn't you? You knew it was wrong. You only stopped when you thought the climate had changed and you might get caught. So who knows? It is very possible that there are other allegations from after 2016 that just haven't been as publicized. And it is hard for predators to just turn it off, right? This also makes me I really want a Scarlett Johansson memoir, and I want it even more now because I really want the Jared Leto chapter. She's suggested he was horrible to her, but she hasn't gone into a lot of specifics about exactly how. She was young when she dated him too. Not 16, she wasn't underage, but she was pretty young.
Actually, that is interesting when you think about it, because he also dated Cameron Diaz when she was quite young, and he's also got a type, hasn't he? And God, it gets so icky when you think about it that way. I'm with you. I have a hard time imagining he stopped, so to speak, in 2016. Maybe 30 Seconds to Mars just stopped touring. Like maybe he lost his access, although it could be a whole series of things. My best guess is there's some women or girls who don't feel comfortable coming forward, maybe not yet anyway, and that's okay. God knows that's enough trauma as it is to just experience this, but then to also come forward and be the face of this very public story is a lot. But I'm just glad he's finally getting his due, because I think one of the things that unsettles me about this whole thing is that he's another one of those guys who I think has probably been protected for a very long time. That's the thing that I always struggle with in Hollywood is all of these people we love and we watch and we go to the movies for and we follow on whatever social media platform, they know this shit and they keep it quiet. And that I struggle with, right? Like Harvey Weinstein, even, we still didn't get a ton of men speaking up about that, right? And now Jared Leto, I'm sure a lot of men knew what he was up to. Who's speaking up? Nobody.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, unless he was just turning it off on places like the set of Dallas Buyers Club, which I don't know, if you're a predator, how do you just turn it off? Then some of the most powerful men in Hollywood, people like Matthew McConaughey, would probably have at least an idea of what he was like, right? You're absolutely right. They know. And I don't know if their viewpoint is it's not my business or it's totally fine what he's doing, right? I mean, it could go from the insidious but slightly less problematic, oh, not my business, which is still, I mean, problematic in its own horrible way, because it is your business. You should care about that. But it might also be that they're just thinking, I don't want to cut him. I don't want to call him out because I want to reserve the opportunity to do that myself. Or, yeah. And are they just all predators? And I'm starting to think that the vast majority of them are. That the one good straight man is Alexis Ohanian. Stedman Grant too. Stedman
We
Graham
do love that man. Yeah, we love both of those men. I know. I mean, it's interesting because it reminds me. I mean, I did mention Harvey, but there's been, even the Bryan Singer rumors from a little while back, if you remember those. There's always been this belief that there's probably a few rings going around in Hollywood that are kind of low key, but not really. The rumors for the longest time surrounding director Bryan Singer was that he had like a ring of younger boys that he would have at his mansion available to anybody, including Kevin Spacey, again, allegedly. That also died down pretty suddenly, but it was hardcore for a while. And then Harvey certainly seemed to have that going on, right? Like if you wanted to go climb the ranks, you wanted to get in good with Harvey, right? So I feel like maybe it's a similar thing with Jared, where it's like he is successful, like feel however you feel about him, but I can understand for the victims, it's scary to report someone like that. But when you're like a Matthew McConaughey, and we're not saying Matthew knew, we're using him as an example.
Just an example.
Yes. But like, I think that's a position where you actually have some ability to make a change and do or say something. And even if Matthew didn't know, I have a hard time believing other people who've starred with him in all these major movies he's done or been on tour with him or whatever. I think his bandmates certainly fucking know.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so, I mean, if people, and again, we don't want to go this hard for Matthew McConaughey because maybe he didn't know, right? But if you feel like you've heard some rumors and then you've worked with him and you're getting a bad vibe, like Matthew McConaughey is pretty famous for his political activism. He's pretty progressive. So I just don't understand how you can go literally to Washington and speak about gun control and how we need to protect the children, but you wouldn't protect the teenage girls from this guy, right? Like it doesn't sit well with me. And we'll see how all of his former co-stars respond to this news now and whether he actually stays a Hollywood pariah, because he absolutely should. But people keep casting him because there's this impression that he's a genius. I do not think this man is that good an actor. I really, really don't. I don't know where he got this persona. I think it's because he's a method actor, and people always assume method actors are better than they are. Literally, the only good method actor I can think of who's still working is Daniel Day-Lewis. And I would respect him a whole lot more if he weren't a method actor. I think that's pretty obnoxious, where it's like, I can only play a fashion designer if I make a dress by hand.
I know. God, I do love that man. We love DDL. He can do whatever he wants. But you're right. He's the exception. No, I'm with you. I think Jared Leto was really good in Dallas Buyers Club. I hate to say that. But yeah, generally speaking, I'm not sitting around being like, he's phenomenal. Put him on my screen. He can play anything or anyone. I'm mostly just icked out by him. I think he's a good example of a celebrity or an actor whose personal life has just overshadowed everything. I can no longer watch him in something and not think that's Jared Leto. Yuck. Like there was a time I loved My So-Called Life when I was younger. I loved him, how could I not? And so I enjoyed seeing him in things, Fight Club, but now it's not quite the same. And I wonder if actors think about that too, once these rumors start getting out there, it does affect your reputation regardless. So we know he did get dropped from an upcoming Barry Levinson movie. And that to me also says, oh, okay, Hollywood's making an immediate move. That's a pretty quick cut, right? That also makes me think they know, and they've just been waiting for a moment.
Would you cut someone if you didn't think, yeah, I already knew that was true.
Exactly.
Would you wait for, I don't know, more evidence or to talk to him? Like, no, everyone already believed it, right? Everyone already knew. It's just now that the rest of us know. I mean, you and I knew, but the rest of the world knows. And now the optics are bad. I'm just so sick of this. I'm so sick of men not being canceled until they absolutely have to be.
Because we know it'll affect their bottom line. Do they care otherwise? Evidently they didn't. Now there's also another thing about how NDAs are becoming more and more popular, at least in circles like this, right? I have to recommend a wonderful new show, and I don't know if you're watching it, Sarah.
I was
Furious.
the same thing. Furious, yeah. I love the NDA scene.
Yes, it's such a good show. Superb show. Trigger warning, because it does deal quite a lot with assault and domestic violence, but it stars Emmy Rossum and Scoop McNairy, and God, they're fantastic. And it's on Disney as well. Big shout out to Disney today. But long story short, it deals with a series of older men who are known for assaulting younger women and being involved with trafficking. And there's one particularly interesting scene where one of these men has one of these younger women sign an NDA because he just wants to completely cover his ass. And he's kind of like, you don't need to read it. Just go ahead and sign it. And it's an interesting scene because it's kind of funny, but you also don't want to laugh because it's very dark. And I do believe that that is what's happening out there. So, and that's one of the rumors that's circulating, that Jared probably gets a lot of these women to sign NDAs. And my bet is when these models even enter the room backstage, they get hit with an NDA before they even walk into his dressing room, right? And God knows they probably don't know what they're in for a lot of the time. So that's also really interesting. Plus, spin doctors are a thing. A lot of these people hire really big teams to change whatever the news is. I'm intrigued on how his team's going to handle this one. I don't know if it's going to be doable this time around.
And sometimes women are complicit. Harvey Weinstein at one point, I believe, had Gloria Allred on his team.
Yes.
Like a real thing he did. And she took his money. So, yeah, they have spin doctors. And listen, lots of people, most people have their price. And these people can afford to pay it. So it will be interesting to see what happens if he stays canceled or not. Armie Hammer is making a comeback. So weirdly, he is making a comeback. So he used to be selling timeshares in the Cayman Islands, which chef's kiss, like that poetic justice, like loved that. And now he is resurgent. So we will see what happens.
Good side reference because he's starring in this horrifically alarming new movie by U-Bowl, which again in itself is like, why would you ever make one of that man's movies? The movie is alarmingly Islamophobic and offensive in about 100 different ways. What's cracked me up is it's clearly offensive. Like that's the whole point, I think, to bait people. And Army came out after being like, I didn't know it was going to be about that. I didn't know it was going to be offensive in all those ways. I'm like, sir, your whole role is like just killing Muslims. Like that's the whole point of it. But then at the same time, the movie ranked very high up on Amazon Prime's charts when it debuted. So that's sick. There's clearly an audience for that. And what this tells us is Army doesn't care what he's doing as long as he's famous. Because here's the other thing, guys. You don't have to go on stage. Go get a retail job. Go do something else like this normal people do. God, anyway. Could that be Jared Leto? Probably not. But anyway.
Yeah, we will.
Hollywood's a seedy place. That's what we're saying.
It's definitely a seedy place. I think it's time for a short break. And when we come back, we have a lot more issues to discuss. So we're back. On August 2nd, 2026, Ariana Grande's rep issued a statement to People magazine, informing fans that she will be, quote, taking a step back from visibility. This means she's dropping out of the West End revival of Sunday in the Park with George. However, the singer will finish her Eternal Sunshine tour. She's, however, going to lay low thereafter. The statement cites, quote, endless ongoing public scrutiny as one of the reasons Ms. Grande needs to step away. Is this a reaction to fans' worries that Ariana is looking increasingly gaunt? Sadaf, as our official Ariana Grande correspondent, what do you think of this? What do you think of her reasons for taking a break and the timing of this break?
First of all, thank you for that title, Sarah. Well, it's really interesting because there was also audio released from the tour where she talked about this when everybody was kind of up in arms, including myself, including you, including everyone I know who's just worried seeing these images of her coming out on tour. And from her recent music video, so alarming. She said on tour that it actually has nothing to do with what everybody's talking about, that this was always the plan. And I'm not so sure. Like, I think that's a really interesting thing to say. But one of the ideas that I've seen running around, one of the theories that a lot of folks have is that maybe the folks behind the Sunday in the Park with George production felt like we can't even insure her and maybe took her off the production, which is also a really interesting factor. I feel like not a lot of people are thinking about because she just pulled out of the production or maybe it was taken off of the production. That's not something she had planned this whole time, right? And God bless, this tour ends, I think, by September. So the timing is good, but I just want her so badly to get some care because what we are seeing scares me. I had a couple of friends who saw her in Montreal on her recent stops, and they said she was fantastic. They really enjoyed seeing her. But whenever I see the videos from those performances, she's moving quite slowly and gingerly. She's wearing those giant heels while she's doing choreography very slowly. It doesn't look like it's a healthy idea. Like, I worry if she makes one wrong move or if she even has the energy, like to be performing at this level. So a lot of people have been making the Karen Carpenter comparison. If you're not familiar with Karen Carpenter, also a musician from back in the day, was very, very popular. Also let me say allegedly, because we don't actually know what Ariana is going through. She has talked about previously experiencing an eating disorder. It seems likely that that is what's happening now, but Karen Carpenter was experiencing anorexia on a very public stage, right? And people were watching her essentially wither away and disappear, and she died very young in her 30s, and she was in her prime. She was killing it, and it's scary because I'm just going to go ahead and say I feel like Ariana looks like she's dying. And I have been just scared these last couple of weeks that what if that happens? What if we see that? And so I'm really, really glad she's going to take a break. What do you make of it, Sarah?
So, I'm glad she's taking a break. And part of me wonders, they say that it's taking a step back from visibility because of the scrutiny. And I do understand that scrutiny, no matter what your body type is upsetting. It is frustrating. Whether you've gained weight or lost weight as a celebrity, it must be jarring and uncomfortable to have people make comments about your body, to people do screenshots of things or to zoom in on your arms. Like, I get that. I get that. I do also think that overwhelmingly the fans aren't saying she looks gross. They're saying she needs help, right? So it's kind of giving me the vibe of when Britney Spears had her breakdown. And there definitely was a lot of misogyny, especially in the media. But I think more than anything, a lot of her fans just wanted her to get help. They knew that she was struggling and was probably being exploited and neglected by the people in her inner circle who didn't care about her health, right? And so the shaving the head people who loved Britney and loved her music saw that as a cry for help. And it's kind of reminding me of that, right? I don't think many of her fans are truly relishing saying she looks too thin. I think a lot of people just want this woman to get treatment.
Yes, please. That's such a good reference. Because I think a lot of us were actually the age of Ariana's core fan base back then. And I remember when Britney shaved her head, I remember even where I was. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, somebody get her help. This is the moment. Like, that's the moment where we got to open our eyes. And I feel like that's what we're seeing with Ariana. You're so right. What worries me, and we've talked about this on previous episodes, I know there's a lot of people, and probably some of you listening, who are like, don't say this about Ariana. We cannot be judging people's bodies. That I find so tiresome. I'm really tired of that rhetoric. I think, listen, we are not policing her, but I do think it's important when you are a celebrity and you have a platform like this, you do have a responsibility. And I think we have a responsibility on talking about what's happening in front of us. Because here's the other thing that I struggled with when her music video dropped. That's where the moment for me was, oh, we got to wrap it up. Because in that music video, by the way, she's styled by La Roche. And he put her in one particular sequence in an outfit that is, let's say, exposing of the décolletage. Like, it's very revealing about the condition she's in right now. Like, her bones are poking out. And it seemed the way that the scene was shot and the way that she was styled was they were doing it on purpose to showcase her body. And I felt like they're trying to be subversive and say she's owning it. She's reclaiming it. She's calling out what you guys are saying. And La even posted the most egregious shots of her in this outfit, saying, look at how well I styled her, and this is what she's wearing. I was like, really? Like, that to me is crossing an unbelievable line.
Yeah. And here's the thing. You can find science-backed explanations of why she looks like she's starving, right? So there are dietitians who will point out things like, there's certain bones that if you can see them, it is a symptom of starvation, right? Right. We have a lot of research on this because there are so many reasons, but people have studied starvation, right? We know what it looks like. We know the physical symptoms. It is a disease. It is an illness like other illnesses. Many people have eating disorders. Other people go through this because of famine and things like that. So there is scientific data about what it usually looks like. Are there exceptions? Is it possible to be thinner than the normal minimum BMI and still be healthy? Yeah, but those are real outliers, right? Real outliers. And she's very gaunt, right? She's pretty extremely gaunt. And so anyway, I've also heard people say this about Emma Stone, that if you look at her body, there are signs of starvation because you can see bones that you're not supposed to see, and that on people who are thin but healthy, you don't typically see those bones, right? So we do have research on this. And what I find very funny is that people, and this goes back to fat phobia, will believe the research that says that it is unhealthy to be a certain weight, right? To be overweight or to be categorized as fat. But they will not believe that we also have science about being malnourished, right? And the science, I don't understand. And it just shows you the bias we have towards being thin. Thinner is always better. Thinner is always better, right? It is very possible, according to science, to be too skinny and to be in starvation mode and for your body to be shutting down. There are long-term consequences. It can reduce your lifespan. It can reduce your fertility if that's something you're concerned with. Your hair can fall out, right? You can break bones more easily. Like, all sorts of things can go wrong. So we have researched this, and I do feel confident, even though, none of us are her doctor, to say that at the very least, she should probably take a break. It seems like this woman is not at her strongest.
Yeah, I think I didn't even know that there are certain bones that you can tell that that's a mark of starvation. Makes a lot of sense. And you know what? We will tag our sources, because if you want to read a little more about that, please do. I want to.
I'll go look through it. But I have consumed some materials by, dietitians, people who are experts, who will say, like, listen, and these are people who help people eat, quote unquote, healthy for a living, right? They want you to be fit and in shape, but they are saying, like, there is a limit to how thin you can be and likely be healthy.
Well, let me add to that too, because I've been reading a lot about, and I have read a lot about, body dysmorphia, which I feel she's experiencing. Again, we're making a lot of assumptions, but I think they're pretty fair assumptions. When it comes to body dysmorphia, for a lot of people, they don't even realize what the level their body is at, right? Like, there's a good likelihood that she doesn't really realize what she looks like right now to the public, because she's probably struggling with her own self-image, which is really interesting. So when she makes statements like she did on tour, suggesting she's just fine and she's not taking a break because of, I felt she was implying it's not about her health or what people are saying, which is egregious. But it may be because she actually believes that. Like, she could have a team that's telling her, please take a break. We want you to take a break. And maybe she's saying, no, I'm just fine. I want to go out there. I read something really interesting the other day. It was, I believe, someone commenting on one of these posts, but it was a healthcare worker, and they were talking about how they've had patients with dementia who they won't even remember. They'll be so far gone and deep into it, they won't even remember, let's say, their family members, but they will be worried about their body and what they look like because they remember their eating disorders and their dysmorphia is still with them. That's how deep it goes, right? Ooh, that's so striking. I think another piece of this for me too, because it's very odd and kind of surreal that she's on tour while this is happening, and this big tour, like an arena tour. I don't feel comfortable with the idea of spending money to watch this woman perform for me on a stage when she is clearly very sick.
It feels like when Whitney Houston performed in the throes of her her illness, right? Her drug use disorder, and everyone who was making money off of her just sort of pretended she's fine, but she obviously wasn't fine, and then ended up very tragically dying. And so we have a history of doing this with pop stars because they're such a commodity, right? They're valuable if they're touring, right? Yes, they can go away for periods of time, but not that long, right? It is a job where you do need to be producing new music. You do need to be touring, all of these things. And touring is really intense, right? It's every single night you have to give the best show of your life in order to justify the ticket price.
That's why a lot of people don't tour, right? Like Jennifer Lopez historically not toured much. Miley Cyrus stopped touring for that reason. Like it's so hard on your body. Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel horrible for her. It seems like she is in denial. Again, I don't know this woman. I say this as someone who doesn't know her.
We're all speculating, right? And hey, you know what? The reality might be even worse.
Yes.
It might be a Chadwick situation, knock on wood, and it might be something else entirely. We don't know. But what is clear, she's not well. She's not well. She's not well. And listen, I'm a big Ariana Grande fan. I just want her to get better and I want her to be happier. This is someone who's gone through a lot in their life, right? Like she lost her longtime love at a very young age. She was performing and there was an attack a bombing while she was performing. They lost a lot of people there. She's now going through this and has been going through struggles with her body for a long time. She has talked about that. So I don't know. I worry for her. I hope she has the right people around her. And I just really hope she takes real time off because she hasn't done that in a while, I don't think.
Yeah. And that she also has the right people around her while she's taking time off and not sort of an entourage of people who are kind of have a stopwatch being like, are you relaxed enough yet? Are you relaxed enough yet? Let's get back into the studio,
Absolutely.
right?
Or yes men.
Yeah, yes men. And I feel like part of this is everyone feels like they have to compete with how prolific Taylor Swift is. Like, I don't know, years from now, we might find out maybe Taylor Swift will talk about how she had an unhealthy addiction to work, but she's always releasing new albums, right? Always. And new versions of her albums. And I understand that those are designed just to exploit her fans and make them buy new versions of something that they already own. Don't hate me. Don't at me.
Well, by the way, sir, we did get a fair bit of hate from some of you guys.
I know. Some people who don't like Blake Lively and love Taylor. Okay.
Yeah, I know you guys, some of you felt like we were too easy on Justin Baldoni and too hard on Taylor Swift. So listen, we hear you. For the record,
we hear you.
Let me reiterate.
We hate Justin Baldoni. We think he's a much worse person than Taylor Swift. Like, I am not clear. No one is defending Justin Baldoni. If that was ambiguous whether or not we thought he was a worse person than Taylor Swift, we absolutely think he's worse than Taylor Swift.
For the record, and we are not blaming Taylor for the condition Ariana's in. I see what you're saying. What you're saying is, and I agree with you, that, and particularly the pop music world has gotten so intensely competitive. And by the way, it's digital sales, right? Like it's not like it was in the 00s and the 90s. It's so different now. And if you are constantly putting out material, that's how you keep staying not only in the headlines, but like getting the numbers and the sales, right? So you're right, I think, absolutely. Because even with the Wicked run, in a way you could say she was smart because she stayed on Wicked nonstop, but then also immediately was releasing albums in between breaks and then to immediately go on tour when the movie wraps up. I already thought that was nuts before she was looking unwell. Like, that's a wild trek. That's got to take everything out of you. I don't even know how Taylor did it with the Eras tour. Like, that's brutal on your body. And I don't know how that woman was able to go night after night for hours and hours.
No, absolutely not. And Taylor, I'm going to say something nice. To her credit, always looked healthy. Like she actually, and you never know from looking at someone how healthy they are inside, but it did look like she was taking care of herself. Like she was making time for, nutritious meals and like she was in shape. I'm not saying touring is bad for everyone, but perhaps if you're in the throes of an eating disorder, it's just going to aggravate things.
Yeah. All of which is to say we're rooting for you, Ariana. And listen, if you're curious about how this perpetuates in Hollywood, how it's played out through history, and also a little bit more about Karen Carpenter, we're going to do an episode soon on all of this. So tune in. We'll let you know. We'll remind you when that's out.
Okay. And now we're going to talk about another subject. And it's going to be a bit of a palate cleanser, but it's very interesting and very contested. Okay, we're going to talk about the potential Barbie sequel. It's been 3 years since Barbie painted the world cinemas pink. After the smash hit status of the original film, one would assume a sequel would be a no-brainer for Warner Brothers. For his part, Ryan Gosling, however, says there is a price if they want a sequel. He is asking for $20 million up front. We don't know exactly how much money Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig are after, but I'd estimate it's probably enough to buy a mid-sized Midwestern city, you know?
Wow.
The sticking point is that the three of them want a cut of the box office revenue. We don't know exactly how much, but it sounds like it's a lot. And the percentage they want, according to Warner Brothers CEO David Zaslav, is too generous. If there is no deal by December, however, Warner Brothers will lose the IP. So, Sadaf, what would you do if you were David Zaslav? Would you turn on the money hose, as Roman would say in Succession? Does this seem like a no-brainer? Or is Warner Brothers shrewd to be more cautious here? Margot Robbie might be Barbie, but is Ms. Gerwig's script and direction essential for the sequel? It's possible it's not. Hell, you could even just make the movie about a new Barbie. And as much as I love Ryan Gosling, his performance was great in the last movie. It's not like the project is called Ken. So do you need to spend this much money on him, right? Surely we could just promote one of the other dudes from the last film and pretend Gosling's character found love on the horse ranch of his dreams and just left, you know? We could do that. So, Sadaf, what do you think? Would you spend as much money as these people want on this project to produce a sequel?
Well, you know what I do want to I'm distracted by money hose and that visual. Thank you for that reminder. I do want to know, by the way, so here's the numbers we're dealing with, because Barbie grossed $1.5 billion worldwide. Okay, that was the highest grossing film of 2023 and the highest grossing movie ever for Warner Brothers. That is insanity, right? And it also made Greta the first solo female director with $1 billion movie. That's hefty. So it's clear why Warner Brothers wants a sequel. It's a no-brainer for them. And they have a deadline of December to get everything sorted out. My gut is saying they're going to sort it out. They're going to give these people the money they want. Now, that being said, I don't think we should have a sequel. I think the first one, it was so, personally, I know not everyone agrees, but I think it was really beautiful and frankly, I think kind of masterful. And we should leave it at that, because for a movie like that and for a subject like that, I don't want to be seeing Barbie's adventures. You know, we've got like the animated series, which is quite good actually out there. We don't need more. I think it'll just kind of, I don't know, dilute the original. And I did for a while think, like, are we going to get a Ken spinoff? But that's kind of defeats the entire purpose of the story of Barbie, right? And it also doesn't make sense to me, even as much as I loved Ryan Gosling's performance, why he'd even be in a sequel. Like, I just don't want it. And I also don't like the idea of, even if it does happen, if it happened without Greta, because I don't think anyone else could have given us that Barbie. She's really phenomenal, I think, as a filmmaker, way better than her acting. And I think nobody's going to be able to do what she did. I think it'll be a shit show if someone else tries to do it. And I don't know if Margot will do it without her. So that's also really interesting. I think we got to leave Barbie at home. Let's leave it. And you know what's interesting too is now all these studios, or at least since that came out, so I guess in the past couple of years, all these talks about tackling other, like maybe a Bratz movie or like a Lego movie or
Polly Pocket.
Polly Pocket. Thank you. Wasn't Lena going to do that one? I think.
And then she dropped out because she basically said, like, she couldn't think of something as feminist and beautiful to say as what Greta had said about Barbie. Like, she was worried it would be derivative. It just wouldn't be worth seeing. So she dropped out, which I really respect.
I do too, and I actually agree with her. And you guys know we love Lena. I think she would have made a great movie. But yeah, I don't think we can do another one. So that's what my point was, that even like tackling another toy doesn't make sense to me, because I don't understand how it could give us something distinct. Please I don't want to say let Barbie die, but you know, let's just cue Billie Eilish right now.
So what I would say is, I mean, they're going to make another one and I don't want it, but I think it's inevitable. So here is my pitch if you have to make another one, because I'm always thinking at this point in my life about what's best for Blake Lively. Of course. So I think they should make a sequel and Blake Lively should play a trad wife doll. So there should be a
Oh my
world where
God.
the MAGA people are trying to replace Barbie with this trad wife doll that has no jobs. And Barbie's all the jobs, right? And so the Barbies have to go and fight for their place in little girls' toy boxes, right? They have to go fight the feminist toy fight. So I think that they are going to do it. And if they're going to do it, I really want them to talk about why it's important for little girls to play with Barbies at this specific moment. I felt like the last one was just about the legacy of Barbie, but like, what is Barbie doing today that's so important in this current moment? And I think Blake Lively would play a great trad wife doll. So trad wife Barbie.
That's such an underhanded compliment. I love it, Sarah.
And I think it would be a really good feminist gesture of Greta Gerwig to save Blake Lively's career. And she's one of the few people in Hollywood who's powerful enough to do it, actually, who could just say, I pick Blake Lively, and Warner Brothers couldn't say no, right? So I think that that would be a wonderful gesture. And, you know, they both live in the New York area. Maybe they know each other. I know Greta Gerwig auditioned for Gossip Girl and was not cast. So I hope there's no bad blood there. That wasn't Blake's fault.
Wild.
This is my favorite Greta Gerwig story because it really shows sometimes things pass by you because they weren't meant for you. Because could she have had the career she had if she played the role that eventually went to the girl who played Fleur de la Cour in the Harry Potter movies? She was going to play a French girl.
I know. I think it would have been too minute. I think her real sliding doors moment was being the star of the How I Met Your Father.
Yes, How I Met Your Dad, that spinoff.
Yeah, that was going to happen. She was going to produce and star in it, and it almost went, and then it didn't. And God bless that it didn't. Although, you know, if she's behind that, I bet it would have been really interesting. But that, I think, there's another Greta in another timeline who's living that life. But, you know, it's an interesting point. I love you for always looking out for Blake, even though sometimes it's quite devious. I do think she looks just like a Barbie doll. So, you know, that's out there. Okay, let's take a quick little break and we're going to be right back. Okay, guys, we are going to do a little check-in with the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if you don't know. We all know the MCU box office has been quite anemic as of late, with a plethora of films underperforming. We're talking 2023's The Marvels, 2025's The Fantastic Four, which, like, you know, let's let that die already. I feel like that's going to get rebooted every few years, and we don't need it. Anyway, it seems like fans had broken up with the superhero franchises, or at least wanted to see other movies. But does the success of Spider-Man, as we earlier mentioned, mean the appetite for Marvel that once reigned supreme has come back? Or is this merely a fluke? Will audiences come out for Avengers Doomsday, which, by the way, is slated for release this December? I do think they will, for the record, because I know people are already buying tickets. That's already happening, which is wild, because it's not coming out until the winter. When the trailer dropped a few weeks ago, 500 million people watched it almost immediately. And many people are excited that the X-Men will make an appearance. But Sarah, are you excited for yet another Russo brothers entry into the Marvel canon? Do we even think those of us who aren't super into comics are ready for a Marvel comeback? Are you?
You know, it's so funny because when I was thinking about it the other day, I was like, this kind of feels retro now. It feels quaint because I think I've taken enough time off of Marvel where I'm like, I do want nice people to save the world, right? I mean, our world is such a shit show right now. Don't you want the Avengers to come, right? Like, I mean, the other day, I saw that apparently Raffi, a beloved Armenian Canadian children's singer, the children's troubadour from the 80s and 90s, he had a Zoom with Miss Rachel. And in my head, I was like, Avengers assemble, right? Like, these are the heroes I want. And so I do want more stories about heroes. I want more stories about people doing the right thing. In the Marvel universe, I don't always agree with their course of action, actually, I have to say. So I'm hoping that they legitimately do the right thing in Doomsday. But I'm happy to see Captain America come back, right? I think I want this. What about you?
I love how kind of hesitant you are. We're like, yeah, sure, take me along. Listen, we've talked so many times on the podcast about how overexposure is a thing, right? And you're so spot on that, like, even MCU needs to take a little hiatus. And then when they come back, maybe we miss them a little. We're like, okay, Okay, I'll go with this. I get that. Listen, I am not the MCU audience. I certainly was way at the beginning, like in the early Iron Man era. I loved early Captain America. I love Chris Evans, but I haven't kept up with it in a very, very long time. Even with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, I watched the first one. I don't think I've seen any of the others. I couldn't even tell you. I don't know anything that's happening in any of these storylines. One of the tough things too is even if you tell me that I could go watch Doomsday if I haven't seen any of the others, I don't believe you because there's always shit I don't know what the hell's going on, you know? So that's another thing. Like I feel like if I fall out, I got about 13 movies I've got to watch to catch up on. It's all very convoluted in my opinion. Didn't they all die at some point? That's what I'm sitting here thinking.
Yeah, but
and now
everyone can be resurrected in this
of
universe.
Course,
no one's dead.
go.
No one's for sure dead for real
Jesus
forever.
Christ. Well, that's another thing. And then I think also I'm a little not worried because God knows all these actors are making millions of dollars. I'm working in the MCU, but like I think of like Tom Holland, who I'm like, please wrap it up after this movie and have your career now. You just did the Odyssey. You're a very good actor. People don't know that you're a good actor because you've been stuck in that suit forever. Go forward, please. Hang it up. Let's do something else. And I worry for them. Like Chris Evans, I don't know what his career is going to be like for real. Like he did The Materialists. We haven't seen much since then. So I just, not everybody's RDJ. Not everybody can have a real career going forward. So I worry about that too. It's not my cup of tea. I love it for everybody else. I'm just glad that we finally have had a period of time where people have tried to watch other things. I don't like when the MCU is the only thing that's there at Cineplex on a Friday night. Like I like having other options. Because you know when an MCU movie is out, like Spider-Man's out right now, it's got like 600 showtimes at my local theater. And that means there's not enough space for all the other movies I want to see. Sorry, guys.
I know. But one good thing is that because of the combined power of the Odyssey and Spider-Man, the movies are having their best few weeks in a long time, right? And it is important to keep cinemas alive. So I am happy to have summer blockbusters that kind of subsidize the rest of the year and keep the lights on at cinemas, right? If they have a couple months of blockbusters where all the teens show up and buy a ton of concessions, right? That is what they need for their business model. So I'm actually okay with it because I just accept that during the summer, there isn't that much I want to see the movies compared to other times of year. That's a cycle.
An excellent point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cycle. And, I like that kids are going to the movies again. I like that they are leaving the house to consume content because they're seeing Spider-Man. And I hope they go see Doomsday. I was actually talking to some teens and I asked them, you guys are so young. What do the Avengers mean to you? Are you excited? Like you were little when the last Avengers movie came out. Are you going to see Doomsday? And they did say that they were interested in seeing it and they were interested in seeing it in the cinemas. So I think that they've figured out how to eventize this. I think they waited long enough. For a long time, they oversaturated the market with their own content. And, the strategy was non-existent. Well, actually, the strategy was to give you homework, right? As you said, you had to watch every single movie and show in order to understand things. This was your part-time job, your unpaid part-time job, where if you didn't watch and take notes, really, like you had to be able to review your notes, you would not understand what was happening. And so that was great for hardcore Marvel fans who read the comics and like to watch things again and again. But for fans, even committed fans who aren't quite that diehard and want to occasionally consume something on HBO, you didn't understand what was happening. The last Marvel project I was truly just in love with was WandaVision. And that was a really long time ago. I thought the Marvels was better than people thought it was, but they spent so little on the special effects that it kind of looked like shit, even though I thought that it had a lot of great charismatic cast members.
Mm-hmm. I liked WandaVision. Thank you for reminding me of that. And you know why I think that one worked for me is because it didn't feel so deeply entrenched in the MCU world, right? Where it felt like it could be its own standalone drama. There was so much to it, and it was just beautiful. I actually was even going to give Wonder Man a shot, which was one of the newer Marvel series, because I love Yahya Abdul-Mateen, who was starring in it. They just canceled it. It just premiered.
It's
and
bad.
They already canceled it. Yeah, so I heard
I did watch it. It's
okay.
really, really boring.
That's so unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Kingsley is also in it, and he's great. He's
Ben
fantastic
Kingsley.
in it. So I have to say, the actors are all good. There's just nothing happens. It takes forever to get even a little bit interesting. And then they go somewhere interesting, and then they just stop. They pull back, and it becomes like watching paint dry. It's just a really badly written and plotted out show.
You know what? I just wanted Yaya to get that check and maybe help that launch his career a little bit. But yeah, I think that's the thing is like, I also don't jump on, like, even with WandaVision, I waited because I wanted to just see if it's worth my time. Because all of these, I also just, it's so much noise to me. And I want to be clear, though, I love that the MCU exists. I love that the fans get to have this. I love it for all, listen, all my friends love MCU mostly. So I love it for them. Like, I'm not ever going to shit on that. I love this for the fans. And you're so right. And thank you for saying earlier that this is also keeping theaters alive. I know it's a double-edged sword in some ways, because then, you know, a lot of studios are like, okay, well, we're only going to do action movies for theater. But you make a good point, because we've also got the Odyssey out, and that is this whole other kind of epic. And people are turning out in droves, man. I got friends who are driving to our one theater in Toronto, way in the north, to go watch that in the way Christopher Nolan wants it. So yeah, it is a nice little reminder that movies are still doing really great. I just want the theaters to do well, and they're doing pretty good right now this summer. So good point, Sarah. So I'm all for it, guys. Go out. Tell me listen, I get my friends to like tell me the whole thing of what every movie is about. And that is entertaining in itself. Like when Doomsday is going to come out, I'm going to have my sister tell me the entire plot of the movie in one sitting. And that is a very entertaining conversation.
It is. I'm also really happy for Tom Holland and Zendaya. Perhaps our biggest power couple right now. I mean, if they're in your movie, it's a huge hit, right? I mean, they're in pretty much 100% of the movie theaters right now. Every screen is playing one of their two movies. So
kind of amazing.
Good for them. I mean, they're just, when people say the movie star is dead or that the younger generation doesn't have movie stars, that's not true. They are movie stars. They have proven that they are true movie stars. People really love them. They're married to each other. Perhaps, I mean, I do think that their marriage and their love story does fuel some of the interest. I don't think it's the reason the Odyssey or Spider-Man was a hit, but I think it helps. I think it helps. I think it's helping Hollywood, the fact that they're such a cute couple. Hollywood is very, very lucky and should pay these people exceptionally well. I'm just saying, I know that they do pay them well, pay them even more. You're not paying them what they're worth.
To know what their joint net worth is, and I hope someone leaks that info one day, because those two are set for life.
It's gonna be billions soon.
Children's and children's are set for life. May I also say one thing, because Sarah, I know you mentioned that there's not usually a ton of things you want to see in the summer. Okay, shout out to one delicious little movie that I don't want anybody to miss out on, and I think it's already getting edged out for Spider-Man right now at the theaters. But The Invite is such a fabulous little movie. It's directed by Olivia Wilde, and I feel like this is such a good comeback for her because it is exceptionally well directed, and it stars a delicious group. So it's her, she's quite good in it, and the wonderful Penelope Cruz, Edward Norton, and Seth Rogen. And I don't want to give away too much, but essentially one couple has another couple over for dinner and hijinks ensue, and it's a drama with like oddly enough thriller elements, and it is one of the best movies I've seen in a long time, and pure joy. My God, it's just excellent. So if you do want something else, or maybe like as a chaser for Spider-Man, go watch The Invite, please. Give it your attention.
That's a really good idea. And you know what? Because I hated Don't Worry, Darling, and because I was kind of mad at the way she treated Florence Pugh, I didn't know if I was going to see this, but because you've endorsed it, I will see it.
Trust me, you'll like it. And might I add, because I also despised Don't Worry, Darling.
We saw it together.
Oh my God, yes. And we were both just sitting there.
Like, what happened?
Shaking our heads through. I think you and I just kept whispering, what's going on?
I know, it was so bad.
It was so bad. But I do feel that Olivia Wilde deserves a cutback. I think she's gotten kind of like a hard, rough treatment in what am I trying to say? She's gotten poorly treated by the public and the press. And I don't know if I even continue to believe that she was the one in the wrong or if Florence P was, because I also don't like that Florence didn't make any kind of public statement. And they did have the entire crew, 40 people, come forward and defend Olivia. So I don't know. I don't want to be either team. I like both women. I didn't expect to be so pro Olivia, but this movie is just so exceptionally well done. And she's very good in it that I'm like, hell yeah, girl. And by the way, I loved Booksmart. So
Booksmart's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
I've never felt as seen by a movie as just some of the things Beanie Feldstein says in that movie. I've literally said to people, like,
you
when
are so that character.
she gets
though.
into the fight with the theater kid, and he's like, I did theater, so I learned how to express myself. And she just yells, I did debate, so I know how to win. I'm like, I think I said that to someone in high school.
That character is literally you. Like, it's eerie.
Yes, that character is very much who I would have been had I been a teen at that age. It's funny, when I saw that movie, I saw it in the E1 screening room, and I was the youngest critic there. I wasn't that young. It was in my early 30s, but I was the youngest critic there. So I was the only millennial, and everybody else was in their, I think late 40s or 50s. And everyone found it amusing. I was laughing so loudly, and everyone's looking back at me like, is this that funny? I'm like, yes, it is.
It doesn't shock me, because I bet a lot of those people were also men.
A lot of them were men. A lot of them were. I think the majority were. But even some of the older women, because it felt, despite the fact that it was supposed to be Gen Z, it felt very millennial, like the references.
It's a very
and the
generational
vibe.
movie, yeah.
Yeah, the vibe is very millennial. And so I think no one understood why I thought it was the funniest thing ever. Like the specificity when they talk about like, oh, I smoked pot once at a Model UN in the Netherlands. I'm like, I literally know people who that was the only time they smoked pot at a Model UN in the Netherlands. I'm like, this is my life.
Sarah wrote this movie. I know what's interesting too is that I was watching an interview recently with Seth and Olivia, and they realized like, oh wait, Booksmart is essentially super bad for girls. And I was like, yeah. And by the way, she also has a great little cameo in The Studio. If you haven't watched The Studio yet, which like I will eternally recommend for you. But anyway, that's our spiel. I think that's this week's episode, Sarah.
Yeah.
Thank you to all of our wonderful, wonderful listeners. We'll be back next week again with a brand new episode. You can listen to The Reheat for free on the Seeker app. You can also find the show on the Frequency Podcast Network or wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to hear more from me, you can find me on Instagram at Canada Horn, on Twitter at _Sadaf Ahsan. Sarah, where can our listeners find you?
Okay, listeners can find me on Instagram and on Threads at Sahagian Sarah. And if you like this podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe so other listeners can find us too. If you would like us to keep growing, we would love for you to support our Patreon at patreon.com/thereheat. We're going to start doing travel guides, actually, kind of celebrity-centric travel guides. I'm going to do one for London. Sadaf is going to do one when she travels places, because Sadaf's also an avid traveler. So we think this is going to be a fun perk. If you vibe with us, you might like our travel recommendations and where we think you should go when you go to insert city X. So I do encourage you to check it out. Thanks for listening, everyone. We wouldn't and couldn't do this without you.